Who's next? Pat Dill from the chart report. I haven't counted how many CMTs are on the show on the stream today, but he is just the latest. Probably we've got about 15, 20 CMTs. Pat is a CMT. He's not going to talk about charts. Well, actually, no, he's going to talk about charts, but a specific few kinds of charts that he has found. It's not so much about the charts themselves; it's about how he has found those charts. So let's bring him on now. Pat, are you here?
I am here.
Yes.
Hi, what's up, buddy?
Excellent.
How you doing?
I mean, you know how I'm doing. It's Chart Summit. Let's go.
I know, and what a great event this is. You know, you get to learn from a lot of the people that I get to feature in the chart report all the time. And what is this? You said it's the sixth?
Sixth Chart Summit.
Wow, look at that. So, yeah, real quick, you guys already gave me a nice little intro, but for those of you guys who don't know me.
Wait, real fast. Do you want to share your screen?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good call.
And let's remember Spencer. Spencer forgets. He hangs out with a lot of technicians now that he's grown up and doing adult things, hanging out with technicians. Let's remember that technical analysis is the study of the behavior of the market and therefore market participants. This is as opposed to the goods and the services in which a particular market deals, which would be more like fundamentals. So something that I like, Patrick very much understands this. I've been yelling at this at him for as long as I've known him, that we're analyzing the behavior of the markets, and those participants are very important. So the unusual social activity here that Patrick is highlighting is a great way to find ideas and opportunities in the market. And if anybody's looking for idea flow, and I certainly am in that category, as are a lot of people here at the show, getting idea flow through social sentiment is a nice way to do it.
Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about idea gen today, and that's what Pat's here to talk about. So, Pat, the floor is yours.
Hit it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for setting me up there. But yeah, real quick, just about me. Grew up in Syracuse, New York. My family owns a wealth management business up there called Dunuwila Wealth Management. But growing up, my mother, my father, my brother, they were all financial advisors. So the markets were very much dinner talk to me, and been around it my whole life. And a lot of people ask me, why don't you just go work there? And to me, it's always been an excuse. Having that as a backup has always been an excuse to go out there and create something new, create something of my own. So started my career as a prop trader, a proprietary trader in New York City, but quickly learned that I didn't need to just be sitting in front of a screen all day to be a profitable trader. It was kind of a waste of time, a lot of opportunity costs there. But that's when we started the chart report. We launched it about 5 years ago in 2018. And it's read by thousands of investors around the world at some of the largest financial institutions and some very reputable journalists as well. So it's been a really, really exciting journey. I've been fortunate to work with some of the best technicians out there and learn from their thought process as well. But a lot of you guys are familiar with the chart report, so I'm not going to cover that too much. If you don't already get it, go sign up. It's completely free at thechartreport.com. But I want to tell you guys a little bit more about what we've been working on at the chart report. We've been kind of taking things to the next level, and JC and Spencer kind of gave it an introduction, but we call it this strategy that we've been working on, unusual social activity. And we're going to get into it a little bit more. But, JC, you mentioned your definition of technical analysis. I've heard it a million times from you, and I've kind of stolen it as my own definition. But it's studying the behavior of market participants, right? And other than markets, where else can we study investor behavior? Where else are people gathering to express their opinions and their thoughts on the market? Social media, right? Nobody knows that better than us. The chart report was founded on the idea that there's so much good research being shared out there on social media, but the problem is it's kind of hard to cut through it. And our mission has always been to share all that and highlight it and convey it in the most concise way possible. So on that note, this new way of looking at the markets that we've developed is very much on brand with the Chart Report's mission. So since the advent of social media, there has been this really unique data sets. You have millions of people sharing their thoughts on stocks that they're watching every single day. And many people have tried to mine this data set. It's a gold mine of data. It's sentiment, it's what people are watching. Many people have tried to mine it, but few have been successful at it. And those who are successful at it, they keep it behind closed doors. It's proprietary, and the data isn't even available to smaller market participants like a lot of us here today. So, the raw social media data alone costs nearly $50,000. So we spent all the money. We spent it on engineers, the data set. We did all that, and we mined the data for you guys, like you guys said, so that you have ideas, right? Trade ideas, constantly giving you guys trade ideas rather than shooting from the hip. Nobody wants to be in that position where you're just like, what do I trade today? We always provide asymmetric risk and reward opportunities. We're looking to risk $1 to make $3 or $5. So what we're not doing is we're not looking for social sentiment. When we first started playing with this data set, we thought it would be kind of contrarian in nature. We thought we'd be fading the crowd. That's not what we're doing. We found that's not really the best use case for it. Now, a lot of hedge funds out there do use this data. I started my career as an intern at StockTwits, and some of the top hedge funds in the world would buy their data, and they use something called natural linguistic processing, where they're able to determine whether a tweet is bullish or bearish, and they take the opposite side of that sometimes. And usually they're high frequency trading this stuff. So that's not a strategy that we can employ at home or that smaller retail investors can use. These hedge funds have teams of PhDs and mathematicians and data scientists to make sense of that. And they also have the algos to trade against that stuff on a very short-term basis. Again, it's kind of inaccessible for people like us, right? So we're also not looking for trending tickers. If we were doing that, we'd end up with a list of the same tickers every day, because the most talked about stocks are usually the same thing every day. We'd end up with SPY, QQQ, the usual suspects, GameStop, AMC, all those. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for unusual social activity. Now, what is unusual social activity? You guys have probably heard of unusual options activity, and it's very similar. We're looking for what is the crowd talking about all of a sudden, or what are they fixating on? And if they're fixating on it, it's enough for us to want to take a closer look at it and do our homework a little bit more on it. And how do we measure unusual social activity? Well, we're using a rate of change. And, JC, I'm sure you use rate of change to measure momentum, and it's a common tool to measure momentum in the markets. And we're kind of doing the same thing. We're looking for momentum in investor interest, so to speak. And the way we measure that in one of our scans called the Buzz is we're looking at the number of mentions in the past week relative to how often they're mentioned in the past 2 months. And that gives us, we're looking for a spike. We're looking for kind of a surge in investor interest. And again, if we were just looking at the most mentioned tickers, it would be the usual suspects, but this shows unusual activity. And once we identify those, then we take an even closer look. We filter it, and we handpick the setups that we like the most. So that filtering process, we start with all those millions of tweets and thousands of US listed securities, and we narrow that down. We filter by things like market cap and liquidity. We don't want to be trading just penny stock or low float garbage out there. And then we just narrow it down. We keep filtering it. And ultimately, we get a list of 30 tickers. This is what the list looks like once we've narrowed it down to those 30. And these all fit that criteria I just mentioned. They're at least $1 billion in market cap. They have ample enough liquidity that we want to be trading them. So that's what they look like once we've narrowed it down to the 30. But then once we have those 30, we handpick 1 to 3 per week that we want to hone in on and that we want to highlight. And again, we're laying these out in just a very concise way. So I have a few examples for you. This was one of the first real successes we had with it. This is Green Brick Partners. A lot of you probably haven't heard of this stock, and that's one thing I love about this scan is it finds things that not everybody is watching, even though they might be talking about it, because again, it's looking for that relative change. How much is it being mentioned to how much it's usually being mentioned? So this one caught our attention. It was trending on social media, so to speak, because David Einhorn, this was his largest position. And at the time, that kind of caught our eye because he was vocally bearish on equities, but this was his largest position out there. So we wanted to take a closer look. And that's not why we bought it, just because David Einhorn did. We bought it because it was breaking out of a nice year-long base within an uptrend, that classic technical analysis you see. If you guys read the chart report, we love big bases. That we always say the bigger the base, the higher in space. I didn't come up with that, but it's absolutely true. You often see these things lead to spectacular moves. So anyway, we got long around $32 a share on March 1st, right after we covered it in the buzz. And you can kind of see here, hopefully it's playing okay, but within 2 months, the trade had hit our initial price target. And we took profits a little too soon because it continued higher to that second Fibonacci level. A lot of the times we use Fibonacci for our price targets because when you're in uncharted territory like that, it's kind of hard to find levels of potential resistance when you have no price history up there. And Fibonacci's always amaze me at how well they work. But anyway, so that's one that was kind of interesting to us. And, they don't always work out like this, but we always give a stop level. These, of course, we're cherry picking the successful ones, but I want to show you guys how powerful this scan really is. This is another one, Crystal Biotech. This is what the idea looked like in the report. But this one, again, a small, not very known biotech stock. We like those ones that not everyone's heard of, but it met our criteria. It had good enough liquidity, it was large enough. It was at least $1 billion in market cap. And this one was also interesting. It was being talked about because of some insider activity. The CEO and his wife, who's also an executive, they were aggressively selling shares at that same price level, 85, right there. And they were kind of creating that resistance, and they'd stopped selling for a while. That's not why we were buying. We liked the technical setup. You have kind of an ascending triangle there, where you have that rising trend line and horizontal resistance at 85. So we wanted to be buying. It was pressing up against all-time highs. I'm not sure if you guys can see the trade there, but sure enough, within a couple months, it had hit our price target, another 32% gain within just a couple months. So, we just keep seeing how this scan of ours is picking up on activity before it's readily apparent out there. Now, another one, we didn't lay out a trade idea on this one, but we did highlight it in our reports. This is Sovos Brands. You might not have heard of it, but you probably have heard of the product they make, Rayo's pasta sauce. It's that fancy, trendy pasta sauce out there. You've probably seen it on the grocery store shelf. But this one, we highlighted it, and then about a month or two later, it got acquired by Campbell's. You can see that little yellow circle up there, gapped higher when the deal was announced. And so, again, this thing's picking up on activity, or something's brewing in the stock, or buzzing, as we like to call it. It's showing that unusual social activity, and you often see some sort of deal or something going on. It's showing us that we want to at least pay attention to it. Now, another more recent example, this is one we took profits on last week, Splunk. This showed up on our scan about a month ago at the end of August. And we got long around 116. That was a really pivotal level there. And sure enough, we took profits last week after the deal was announced. Now, it didn't quite hit our price target. It came within $1 or $2 and very close. And I mean, after a deal like that is announced, you got to take profits. There's really no more upside left. If anything, there's risk that maybe the deal doesn't go through or something and it gaps back down or something. So again, it's picking up on something before it's really apparent. And, we're constantly refining the process, looking back on the results to try to improve, our research process and how we do this. Now, we also do another report called the Heat Check, and that's a shorter term look at unusual social activity. That is, before in the buzz, I mentioned we look at changes in the past, in mentions in the past week relative to the past 2 months. The Heat Check is looking at mentions in the past 24 hours relative to the past week. So just a shorter term look at it. And that comes out every Wednesday. New one will be out today. And this is what it looks like within the report. We dig deeper, we find out why it's trending, what does the chart look like, what technical aspects do we like about the chart. And it's really fun. We get to learn more about these companies and why people like them right now, why are people paying attention to them. And we also do short ideas. I'm covering a lot of long ideas because we've been in kind of a bullish market environment, but we also will take short ideas as well and lay those out for you guys too. Now, another premium report that I really love doing, this one comes out on Sundays. It's called the Top 10 Charts. Pretty self-explanatory, but the top 10 charts from the past week. And I found that this is a great way to get ready for the week ahead. We're constantly seeing what the top technicians are talking about, what charts they're watching the most. And this is our way of kind of highlighting, here are the top 10 you need to focus on. Here's the most important ones, kind of a top tier version of the chart report that you guys get every day. So all of this is included in something that we call the Chart Report Private Access. Now, what does that include? It includes the Buzz scan. It includes the Heat Check, that shorter term version of the Buzz, and it also includes the top 10 charts. We also do weekly videos, me and Spencer, where we get to provide a little bit more context behind all of those tickers that showed up on our scan, and we can lay it out just in a different format. Some people prefer that rather than reading a research report. And you also get access to me with membership in the Chart Report Private Access. So you get 3 premium research reports. We're constantly finding actionable ideas, and with the top 10, we're highlighting the most important charts out there that you need to be watching for the week ahead. Great way to kick off your trading week. But anyway, I brought some trade ideas along with you guys that have shown up on our scans recently. This one is Mirum Pharmaceuticals. Now, the breakout's kind of already underway on this one, but with the market kind of under pressure these last few days, we think this one could give us an opportunity to get involved. We'd want to buy on a pullback to that breakout level around 29. And you can kind of see throughout this company's life, I mean, it went public in 2020, and it's formed this kind of ascending triangle since it's gone public. And that's a rising trend line and horizontal support. And that's a bullish pattern, because on each rejection at that horizontal resistance line, you have buyers getting more aggressive. That's what that rising trend line's telling you. So this one, yeah, we'd get involved on a pullback to 29. As long as it's holding, we'd put our stop around 22.50. As long as it's holding there, we think it's good with a target to up to 57. I mentioned we use Fibonacci price targets a lot, and the 1.618% extension of that initial decline is right around 57. So we think it could actually go all the way there as long as it holds the breakout level that's highlighted there. Another one we have for you, I'm going to go ahead and try to pronounce it, but I'll probably butcher it. Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group, the ticker symbol's SMFG. This is the second largest Japanese bank out there. It's trying to break out of a 10-year base. As we said, the bigger the base, the higher in space. If it's above 1050, the chart's a couple days old, but if it's above 1050, we want to be long, and we think it could go all the way to $17, which is a decent amount of upside, but we're also talking about a decade-long base, so that it's not too out of the question, in our opinion. So there you guys have it. All this is part of the Chart Report private access. You can go ahead and sign up for a 2-week free trial, completely risk-free. If you don't like it, if you give it a shot, you don't like it, we can still be friends, and you can still get the Chart Report for free every day. And if you do go ahead and sign up, you get all 3 of those premium reports and so much more. And all of that's available for under $1,000, which, for a lot of you guys have, if you meet the pattern day trader rule, then you have at least 25,000 in your trading account, and one trade can easily pay for several years of subscriptions at that rate. But there you guys have it. You got a little taste of what we've been working on here at the Chart Report. It's really exciting and unique stuff. Nobody else is doing it out there. And we're constantly looking for ways to improve it. So it's only going to get better from here.
And nobody is doing it. We know that for a fact, right?
Right.
So $7.99 for annual. That's really fantastic. I already got 2 ideas here. I like this Mirum Pharmaceutical. The chart looks great. $1 billion biotech. Really interesting. The Japanese bank really makes sense with the relative strength we've seen in Japan. The Mitsubishi, we were just talking about it on the research Slack this week. Really, I love the idea flow, because that's what this is all about. It's for me anyway, selfishly. I like the idea flow. I have a question though on the rate of change. So if you're just looking for the most talked about names or the most popular names that day, it's going to be the same names every day. It's going to be Tesla, Apple, Amazon, right? You know all the names.
Yeah.
What is it? Can you reiterate what the rate of change is that sparks that momentum thrust, if you will, in unusual social activity? And then the heat check, how is that different? What's the difference between the two?
Right. Yeah, and that's a great question. And I like what you said there, momentum thrust. So the buzz measures the mentions in the past week relative to a 2-month mention history of the stock. So for example, NVIDIA showed up a few months ago after its earnings report when everybody was talking about it. And, that was an obvious one. We can anecdotally just go on Twitter and say, okay, everybody's talking about NVIDIA way more than they usually do. But that was also interesting because a lot of people do mention NVIDIA every day, but this one only showed up on our scan after that week. And a lot of you guys can probably remember what that week was, because that was the most talked about stock out there. And so, it's measuring it relative to itself. And that's where the real signal is measuring it relative to its past history of mentions.
What's the difference on the exact measurement?
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
What's the difference in the exact measurement between the buzz and the heat check?
Right. So the heat check is looking at 24 hours. So that's just much shorter term. In a way, it's kind of more actionable. A lot of the times you'll find tickers that are very, they're really in focus that day. Maybe they reported earnings or they have some sort of news around it. We tend to steer clear of the M&A stuff. That can get really messy, as I'm sure you know. Some of the M&A stuff can get a little wonky. Other people love that stuff, though. So we do highlight that stuff. In the reports, we don't just lay out the trade ideas. We also look at the ones that we didn't pick, and we give a little bit more context. Why didn't we pick it? And, what would we like to see before we do put on a trade for that?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Can you throw that slide up again? Can you walk me through what I'm getting throughout the week as a subscriber to private access? Can you share that?
Yeah, let me just try to navigate back to it real quick.
I mean, I just love the idea flow. I mean, it's really all it is, and it's coming from a unique source.
Yeah,
so it's a very unique data set, and Go to the next slide. What was the next slide there?
So can you see the what's included in? Yeah, so it includes more than just those 2 scans that we do. Like I said, the top 10 charts, I think that one's one of my favorite reports, where we're covering, looking at the week at the past week, and also looking ahead at what charts, what areas of the market you really want to be fixating on. So you get all that plus the video updates that Spencer and myself do. And you also have access to me. If you want to ask me a question about a chart or any of that, I'm happy to share my thoughts. You might not always like it, but I'll always share my honest opinion on the chart.
Listen, I always like to say, you know more technicians, and you're communicating with more technicians around the world than anybody else. I guess maybe after Tyler Wood has to come Pat. I would put you ahead of me, to be honest. And
I don't know about that, JC.
I'm pretty up there, but I gotta go. Tyler Wood #1, Patrick #2, maybe Patrick #2. I think that's right. That's right. I'm somewhere like, I don't know, top 10 or 15. I talked to a lot of technicians, but you guys
maybe in your younger days you definitely had beat me out, because nowadays people want to talk to you. You're one of those technicians that everyone wants to talk to, so you're probably busy with that. But yeah, all this is available. There's a 2-week risk-free trial, so you got nothing to lose, really. Come check us out, see what we've been working on, because it's really exciting stuff, and I'm really enjoying kind of taking the chart report and what we've been doing to the next level. It's been really an exciting new endeavor that we've been working on.
Where are we dropping the link?
So if Spencer could drop the link in the chat, but right here it's sign
link is in the chat.
The chart report /private-access.
Yeah, the link is in the chat right now.
You can find it there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Patrick Dunuwila.
Thank you guys so much.
Coming in the old chart summit from the chart report. Coming in hot. I like it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Pat.
Thanks, Pat. Those are some pretty good ideas too.